One thing every one of us has in common is we've all known credit grabbers. You know, those people who take credit for things that they have no business taking credit for? I've known many of them throughout my life. Just prior to my starting to fade as one of Jehovah's Witnesses, I had gotten fed up with pretty much living like a pauper. I had compromised myself secularly to be one of Jehovah's Witnesses, and it got to the point where I really needed to pay a little bit more attention to my income. I was in between jobs. I knew this one guy in the neighborhood. He was not a friend of mine. He was just somebody I knew through some mutual friends. Over the years, he'd talk about his job. And he would always make it sound like he was very important there. He would dress it up to where he was irreplaceable. Okay, I knew he was a braggart, so I just let it go at that. While I was in between jobs and I was looking for a new one, and he come up to me one day and says, we're looking for somebody. Really? I'll head up there, which I did. He says, yeah, okay, yeah, I'll even put in a word for you. Oh, great, good deal. Well, I went up there and applied. The one thing that he neglected to tell me, which was really no big deal, was that there was a company policy that if an employee recommended somebody and they lasted 6 months, they would get $50. If the recommendation lasted a year, they would get $500. So this was his incentive. It had nothing to do with me that I was looking for a job, but I don't care. I got what I wanted. He can get what he wants. It no harm done. When I started the job, it wasn't too long before I realized that his job was not as important as he led on. He was not that really all that highly thought of. I had known several of the guys that worked there from prior jobs, so we got along pretty well, but he was always shooting them down. And these were people that even had more a rank on them. And as time went on, he started telling the guys, and they come back and tell me that, oh, it's a good thing I helped him out. He was on the verge of being homeless. He was going broke. I pushed to get him in here just to save his ass, which was not quite the case, but he was taking credit and elaborating on my situation. I don't elaborate on my personal situation to anyone. And I even mentioned it to him. I says, dude, you can't be telling people stuff like this, frankly, because it's not true. And he said, oh, I never said that. Yeah, apparently you did. As the weeks progressed, I found out why he was so important to this department and to the boss. Was that he was a stoolie. If he saw anybody doing anything or overheard something, he'd run right to the boss and rat them out. And I come to find out that the guys there really weren't all that crazy about him for that reason, and for the most part they ignored his little games. As the months went on, he was still taking credit for getting me this job. Not only in work, but in the neighborhood. And I says, dude, you got to stop it. You put in a recommendation, that was it. I'm the one who's keeping the job. And again, he denied it. Okay, fine. As it was, the job really wasn't working out, but he had to stay on top of it. Every day, everything's okay. You like the job, right? You're not going anywhere, right? As the months were going on, and it was approaching the 6 months. So now his only interest now, is he going to get that bonus? Is he going to get that $50 bonus? He started wondering. As it was, I was negotiating with another place. The job was okay, but that's all it was okay. I was actually negotiating with something more in my field, which, as it was, turned out to be the better choice. I told the guys about it, and they says, yeah, good deal, good deal. And they were pushing, that this place isn't going anywhere. You're never going to get anywhere in this place. So they were fine with it. Word got back to this tool. And every day he's like, you don't have to leave. Just stick it out. Everything's working out for you. The bosses like you here. Which to me, it didn't matter if I was liked or disliked. The job financially was not working out to my benefit. They can like me all they want. It doesn't make a damn bit of difference. And I'd be working with the guys, and on occasion they say, hey, wouldn't it be funny if you worked just under 6 months and then quit? Ha ha ha, we all laughed. Yeah. Well, that's exactly what happened. As it was, I took this new job. I was actually going to work both for a while, but considering the hours I was putting in the new job, there was no way I could have. Well, he approached me on my own time. He says, no, dude, you don't have to quit. Just go in and talk to the boss. Tell him it was a mistake. But you don't have to quit. You've been there almost 6 months. Now, it was pretty obvious that this was his incentive. He wanted the money. Well, that's fine, but it didn't work out for me, so I moved on. He would not talk to me for the next 2 years. He never got over it, but he kept bitching about, I never got my $50 bonus. I'm like, well, I didn't last there 6 months, let alone the $500, which he was pissed off about. I knew a very similar credit grabber when I started studying with Jehovah's Witnesses. This guy made his position in the org a little bit more important than it really was. He would brag about, he was a constant bragger. That was the same thing similar to this other guy. And I started studying with this guy. Now, this guy would parade me around like a friggin' trophy. And come to find out that he had never studied with anybody that progressed to baptism before. And this was some of the things he was taking credit for. He created a person to other people in the congregation about me, that a person that never existed. I was destitute, I was a loser, I was a drug addict, God knows what else he said. So much was getting back to me, and I'm like, dude, you can't be telling people stuff like this. These people don't know me, and apparently neither do you. Don't be making up stories. But apparently, he denied it, and he's like, oh, I never said that. Well, apparently somebody did. But I was always a very private person, and I saw no reason to go on about my private life. But for the first year I was there, people were thinking all sorts of crazy things about me. There is a problem with being a credit grabber. Now, it's true, I studied with him right up to baptism. And it was around the time I got baptized that I really needed some space from him. He was just getting to be a bit much. And to the point that he actually had to be in the pool while I was being baptized. And I could never figure that out. Yet, when I was given the okay to get baptized, he was the first one to try and stop it. Oh no, he's not ready. He's not ready. Well, the elders thought otherwise. I'm kind of wishing now we pushed a little harder. But the problem with being a credit grabber, much like this tool I worked with some years ago, was he had to watch me for the rest of his natural born life. See, because it was never about me. It was never about my being baptized. I did this, I did that. No, it was all about him. He was taking credit for supposedly turning my life around, which nothing could be further from the truth. He had nothing to do with me personally on the outside, but he was taking credit for it anyways. And as the years go by, and if I missed a meeting, he'd have to be right on top of it. This went on right up until the very end. And he actually took it upon himself after I started fading to find out what the problem was. When really there was no point in even going into him with it because he had no authority. He was a nobody there. But okay, I let him have it because I knew I was gone anyways. I gave him websites to look up what I knew about the organization, about their stock holdings, and about the pedophilia that the watchtower was hiding. I figured, you know something? Okay, let's wake this guy up, see if he knows. He called me back the next day. He says, well, I checked those websites out. I didn't see anything of any importance. That told me one of two things. Either he looked it up and wanted to overlook the crimes of the organization, or he didn't look it up at all. But at any point, I had washed my hands of him, wanted nothing to do with him. You're a piece of shit. If you actually looked up those websites and are still willing to overlook them, then stay the hell away from me. But to the point, it didn't matter what I thought of the organization. As long as I was there, he would have preferred that I went to the meetings and just kept quiet, just go through the motions, all because of how he would look. It would look bad on him if I left, and this is where his mindset was at. It was never about me. It was all about him. He was always all show, much like this idiot I dealt with years earlier. But that is the problem with being a credit grabber. You have to stay on top of your victims at all cost. Because the funny thing was, I'm going to go into that in my next video. The difference between self-confidence and arrogance. Anyways, guys, feel free to leave your comments below, and I will talk to you soon. You guys have a good day.